right, guys, before we get started today, want to let you know that you can bolt up your experience just in time for the big game with $10 off your first 3 months of YouTube TV. You get access to 85 plus live TV channels, unlimited DVR space, and game day features like Key Plays. Just be sure to record the game, then use the Key Plays view right in the YouTube TV app. Catch up on all the highlights you may have missed. Plus, you can cancel at any time, no hidden fees. That's a touchdown. YouTube TV, try it free and then save $10 a month for your first 3 months. Terms apply. Cancel anytime. What's up, guys? Welcome into a brand new episode of Chargers Weekly, powered by YouTube TV. Alongside Matt Money Smith, Chris Hayre here with you. It's Super Bowl week in LA. Money, I know you're all over the place. You're currently at NFL Network headquarters, doing Super Bowl today this week.
Yeah, Super Bowl today with Mike Garafolo, a whole bunch of guests. Tomorrow we'll have Derrick Henry on with us. Today, Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, a bunch of guys familiar with Matthew Stafford. So exciting week. Exciting that it's here in LA. It makes it so easy, just kind of back in the studio where I'm used to being. I do want to say this. I've been meaning to say it. Every time you say YouTube TV, I get excited and my ears perk up because I love the YouTube TV interface. Shameless plug. Just trust me. You can take the free trial, see for yourself. I believe they'll be they're gonna have a lot of legal coming their way. They're gonna be suing people for stealing the way they put together their content and allow you to consume it. It's the best interface anywhere. So be sure to check that out. And then let me know. Yeah, tell me I'm right. Hey, thanks, Money, for telling me that, because, man, is it awesome.
Let Money know. And YouTube TV sponsoring the Bolts Experience on the Promenade this weekend. Money, you're going to be there. And I'm just going down the names here. LT, Mikey Davis, Drew Tranquil, Trey McKitty, Kasim Osgood, Gabe Neighbors, Joshua Palmer, Asante Samuel Jr., Alohi Gilman, and, of course, Matt Money Smith.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just put me right there at the end. Should be a good time. It's going to be great. It's 3rd Street Promenade. I mean, my goodness, talk about having the weather cooperate for Super Bowl week. We're going to have 100,000 people move to California by the time this thing ends on Sunday evening. It's been a great week in terms of weather and stuff, so I'm looking forward to it. 3 to 6 p.m. Petros, and I will be out there doing our radio show. So very much looking forward to it.
Dude, it's going to be like 85 degrees on Super Bowl Sunday. It's like the hottest Super Bowl on record, I think.
It would not surprise me. They're going to have a heat in. And, look, we know it well. We play our home games there. There's not a lot of breeze. There is not a lot of breeze that comes through that place. So if it's 85 outside, it's probably going to be close to triple digits on the field.
We'll talk Super Bowl at the end of the pod. I want to go over just a few things. Today, we'll go through the mock drafts and make the case for a few prospects that are being mocked to the Chargers really early. But I want to start with just the head coaching cycle. Finally, it's come to a close. Mike McDaniel, to me, we talk about all these young quarterbacks in the AFC specifically, Josh Allen and Herbert and Burrow and Mahomes. If Mike McDaniel can coach up Tua, we know the defense that they have in Miami. And Mike McDaniel has been with Kyle Shanahan at every stop that Kyle's been on. So when you see the running game and that, I think there's a lot of things that really fit the skill set of Tua. And I'm very intrigued to see what that team's going to look like under Mike McDaniel, has these really funny and quirky press conferences versus a guy like Brian Flores, who's a little bit more no nonsense, a very different style of head coach going down to South Beach.
Look, by all accounts, anyone that's been around him, they say he's a genius, that he is this, that he is as important to Kyle Shanahan as any of his assistants have ever been. And you see the success of Sean McVay and Mike LaFleur and Matt LaFleur and how well they've done. So, and that he was the one guy he wouldn't let go, but the one thing I'll say is, if he was the run game coordinator and, Shanahan would talk about just the stuff he would bring in and how brilliant it was, if that's what his specialty is, and I don't think he's limited to that, he's going to be able to expand it into the passing game, but you better get an O-line, because that O-line has been brutal the last couple of years. You look at San Francisco and what's been their success. Yes, it's the running game, but it's also Trent Williams, Mike McGlinchey. Like, they value offensive line. Remember, when the Chargers took Derwin James, they took Mike McGlinchey, so it's important to remember that you got to have an O-line for that run game and for those concepts to work. And no doubt it's important for him to fix Tua. but it's going to be equally, if not more important, for him to fix that O-line. But yes, by all accounts, people that have been around him, I work with Andrew Hawkins here. He's been screaming about McDaniel for 2 years, that this is the next Kyle Shanahan. This is the next guy that you're going to hear about. So he's finally going to get his opportunity. And look, he certainly has a lot of weapons to work with on offense, that's for sure. But I think they probably got to find a legit number one running back, and they're going to have to sort out that offensive line or hope those guys develop that they drafted in the first round these last couple of years.
And Money, what about Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence? Just another young guy in the AFC, and you talk about just the contrast of styles between Urban Meyer and Doug Peterson. Peterson's won a Super Bowl. He knows how to develop quarterbacks, and this seems like a good match for Trevor.
Yeah, no doubt. I think, I think people forget, how good a play caller Doug Peterson is, and how great that season was, whether it was Nick Foles or Carson Wentz was going to win the MVP.
He was.
He was going to win the MVP that year before he broke his leg against the Rams. So, you think about what Peterson did there. He obviously comes from the Andy Reid tree. People forget that's where he was hired from, that he was a quarterback under Andy Reid when he was in Green Bay, that he was a play caller under Andy Reid in Kansas City and in Philadelphia. And now I think it's a smart hire. I totally would have loved to have seen Byron Leftwich get a shot. I think he's going to get a shot, but sounds like he was not willing to work with Trent Baalke, and you got to have that synergy between GM and head coach or things can get sideways in a hurry. And it sounds like Peterson figured out a way to say, fine, you want to keep paying this guy, pay him, but you're bringing in somebody else that I'm going to deal with, so I don't have to deal with him. That's the one way this thing can get off the rails, is if Shad Khan, for whatever reason, decides he's, and I don't know why, super loyal to Trent Baalke, and, that's where it can get weird. But by all accounts, in terms of coach and being able to unlock what we all believe is just incredible potential for Trevor Lawrence, I think Doug Peterson's it's a great hire. And look, they got a lot of money to spend. They got the number one pick. I assume that they're going to use it on an offensive tackle because you can't go through another season with Trevor Lawrence getting his head kicked in from a bad offensive line. And I think they have a chance to get good in a hurry. I really do. Yeah.
Plus, people forget too, Travis Etienne and James Robinson. If you can establish a run game and, not only protect Trevor, but open some holes for those guys, control the clock a bit, that could be a different looking Jacksonville team in 2022. So I want to hit on the Pro Bowl real quick. It was tough to watch, but our guy got the MVP. So that was fun.
Look, is it tough to watch? Yeah, but 6.6 million people watched it.
Well, I know it's the thing. It's higher than
more than the World Series
All-Star game.
It's more than the World Series. It's more than the NBA Finals. Like 6.6 million people. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just, people like watching NFL football. And you know what? I think they should take it back to Hawaii, and just kind of that's such a great backdrop. All week the guys are hanging out, in the ocean, in the hot tub, at the luau's. It makes for great visuals. It's a different experience for them. By all accounts, the word is that they're great bonding experiences for all these guys because the families come out. It's like a family vacation. So I think you can get back to that. It could be a lot of fun. The skills challenges are always fun. They got a little weird this year. There are a lot of ridiculous ones, but I think you could do just, we're so afraid to do something again. It's like, oh, well, we can't copy what they did. Why not? It was fun. Like back in the day, the quarterback challenge stuff they would have is fun.
Mai Tais floating around in Hawaii.
100%.
I tweeted out the video of Sean Taylor blowing up Brian Moorman in the Pro Bowl, saying,
"Oh yeah, that was great.
We ain't gonna see this again." But you know what? Bring it back. And I know Damashek has talked about like have it be for like the number one overall pick, have like two teams. I guess the two worst teams in football kind of battle out for the number one pick. What do you think about that idea?
I love Damashek. That's so stupid. I mean, come on. What's in it for the guys that are playing football? That's the problem with Dave's. And, having done the DDFP for years and years with him, we would get into these three. I'm like, Dave, you don't understand that you're asking men to play a game of football for which nothing benefits them. There is no benefit to the men that are out there kicking each other's heads in to get the number one pick. It's
the
just
quarterbacks playing are going to get replaced.
Exactly. No. The answer to that is no. And that's why it looks the way it does, because guys don't want to get hurt. They don't want to have any contact. They don't feel like sitting in an ice tub after the Pro Bowl. So, to me, just put flags on them and just go all out, whatever. Just make it flag and go out and have some fun.
Oh, well, hey, the Super Bowl coverage is everywhere. I want to home in a little bit on the Chargers and using DJ's top 50 because we trust DJ the most.
Sure.
Make the case for these 7 prospects that I keep seeing mocked to the Chargers at 17 overall.
All right, here we go. What do we got?
There's 7 of them. Jordan Davis is the first, the defensive tackle from Georgia. He's 6'6", he's 340. He stops the run. That's the guy that I've seen the most so far as we tape this in early February.
Look, I said this last week on Chargers Weekly. I'll say it again. There's people that say you can't afford to take someone who's got to come off the field for third downs. And I don't know if Jordan Davis has to come off the field, but that's the knock, is that he is not necessarily someone who's going to get upfield. He's a premier run stuffer. He is a premier defensive lineman on first down, on second down. And if you're going to take him off your board because you're not quite sure if he can play on third down, I think that's completely ridiculous. Because I watched the games. I saw way too many 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 1s. And that's why they were the worst team on third down, because they weren't 3rd and 7s and they weren't 3rd and 9s, because they couldn't stop the run. And those guys, every team was getting 3 to 5 yards on every carry. So for me, I think it makes perfect sense to get someone in there. And look, you can pair him with someone that can get upfield a little bit more if that's what you want from your other defensive tackle. So I have no problem with Jordan Davis being their pick at 17.
Yeah, he's DJ's number 16 overall prospect here in February. And I agree with you. We talked about the third downs. 3rd and 8 is a heck of a lot different than 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2.
100%.
And that's what happens. If you got to take him off the field on third down, fine. But he did his job on first and second down. So George has got a lot of dudes on defense. We'll get into another one here in a minute.
Yeah.
You mentioned this guy last week, Trent McDuffie from Washington. He's DJ's number 13 overall prospect. I saw him mocked to the Chargers. And this is a guy, he's under 6 foot. I think that would be my only knock.
Yeah.
You may want to get a bigger corner on the other side of Mikey Davis and Asante Samuel, but a talented guy who DJ has in his top 15.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think he's under 6 foot, but he's, I think he's probably sniffing 200 pounds. So he's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
He's just not a longer guy. So I think, he's someone that's at least physical. I think, would you like him to be a little bit taller? Yeah, but Mikey's tall. So, you have at least Davis, who's probably 6'1", I would guess is Mike. So, to me, it's less about height and more about build. So, I can see where McDuffie would fit in from that standpoint. And you know what? He's just a really good, solid corner. I think that's like, to me, when you're describing the different corners, like, to me, McDuffie is, to use draft parlance, he's the high floor guy, right? He's going to be on special teams. He's going to knock it out on special teams. And he's going to, he's going to make tackles. He's not going to miss tackles. And look, he's a good corner. He's a good all around corner. He can play press. He can play zone. They asked him to blitz a lot. So I got no problem if McDuffie's the selection.
I want that Sauce Gardner. I don't think he's getting out of the top 10, huh? 6'3",
he ain't getting out of
the,
I don't think he's getting out of the top 5, to be honest with you. I think corners are so valuable. And my guess is once he gets to the combine, once he starts doing some team stuff and they see the measurables and just the explosion, that dude's not getting out of the top 10 for sure. I don't know if he gets out of the top 5.
All right. The next guy, he's an edge guy, George Karlaftis from Purdue. I got his name right. Number 14 overall. And, I think a lot of this is going to be contingent on free agency. If Chenna goes elsewhere, you all of a sudden have a big hole on the other side of Joey Bosa. So I think free agency is going to dictate a lot of what we see in the draft.
Chenna's going to be tricky. I'm telling you, Chenna is going to be tricky because Chenna's going to get offered a lot of money. Yeah. There's just nobody out there. You could make the case that he's going to be the number 1 pass rusher on the market. And a lot of teams got a lot of money, and Chenna's 25. And Chenna, the sack numbers may not be there, but the pressures are, and the hurries are, and he's gotten better every single year. So, I hope that Chenna comes back. I hope they can figure something out and get a deal done with him. But I know it's going to be a rich deal. I have no doubt in my mind. All you need is two other teams that are doing battle with one another to get that number to be super high. But you're right. If he doesn't come back, look, I think I don't know if it's a lazy comparison, but Karlaftis has been compared to Ryan Kerrigan, another Purdue guy, another high motor guy, another white guy, so but I think it's an apt comparison. I love Purdue guys. I always have. They play their tails off. It's just for some reason West Lafayette creates those type of players. So again, no problem with that, especially if it's going to be because Chenna got a giant number somewhere else, and they just weren't able to tie it up with Joey Bosa making as much as he does on the other side.
A few years ago, it's something that stuck with me. Greg Cassell said, we talk about like edge rushers and just certain positions that are at a premium because they never hit free agency. Like when you have an elite guy like Joey Bosa, like Joey's not hitting free agency because you're not going to let him. Uchenna may not be in that category, but like you said, when teams have a ton of money and he's the number one guy on the market or top 2, top 3 pass rusher coming out in free agency, you run the risk of losing a guy like that.
Yeah.
And again, that will kind of alter what you do in the draft. So I'm with you, man. Like I just saw Chenna get better and better too, and maybe more comfortable in this scheme. And I think it'd be a shame to see him go elsewhere, but this is the business.
Well, I think, and what, if I had to guess, my guess is that, by all accounts, you talk to anybody around the team, they all love Chenna. So I'm sure Tom made him an offer. And because, just the numbers weren't there, the production wasn't quite there, I'm guessing he bet on himself. And he probably said, you know what? I think I can do better. This is going to be my first time without Melvin Ingram. I'm going to get my reps. I'm going to get my snaps, and I'm going to be able to put a season together. And I'm comfortable, going into unrestricted free agency instead of taking, a number that was in step with what he had done up to that point and, projecting what he potentially could be. And he's going to probably, I would guess, double, if not, 40-30% more than what that offer probably was, just because there wasn't a lot of production there. And he just bet on himself. Hey, whatever, dude, I'll be an every down starter now. And I'll be able to put up numbers that'll be, in step with what I think I'm worth on the open market. And it's going to be a lot.
Yeah. When he goes into rooms with teams, he's going to fire up that week 18 tape first. That's his cover. That's
no
his
doubt.
cover letter.
He was unbelievable. Yeah.
All right. Hey, linebacker, 2 guys DJ has in his top 10, number 7, number 8, respectively. Devin Lloyd, Utah, and Nakobe Dean. I've seen both of these guys mock to the Bolts. And I think this also, you factor in Kaiser White and also Kenneth Murray, how they view Kenneth Murray. I mean, I think that those are the first 2 things you have to ask yourself if you're going to bring in a starting caliber linebacker in this defense.
Yeah, Kaiser is going to be interesting, because the numbers are there, but at the same time, in Brandon Staley's defense, the numbers are always going to be there for that position. So I think you have to project, is it production because of the player? Is it production because of the scheme? And he's the guy that's supposed to get all the tackles funneled to him and make those stops. Or is it production, for other reasons? Look, it's a mix of both, right? Kaiser had a great year. Kaiser is great athletically. He's great physically. He's what a modern day linebacker looks like. So to me, that's one that's going to be dependent on the number. I think it's 100%. What's it going to cost when you got Herbert coming up in 2 years, when you got Mike Williams either on a franchise or you're trying to get a deal done, Chenna, there's a lot of guys you're going to have to sort through. And I think White, even though it might be hard for people to believe, if it was my guess, I think he's going to be lower on the priority list than a lot of people think, just because of how you view that position and versus the numbers and just kind of, 140, whatever it was, 144 tackles or something. Totally understand. That's not easy to do, but at the same time, you feel like Nakobe Dean's going to fall to you or Devin Lloyd's going to fall. And again, a lot of it comes down to what you say. Okay, what's the future of Kenneth Murray? How much of it was injury? How much of it was just never quite getting comfortable in the scheme? And what's that going to look like going forward? To your point, though, last week when we had Trapasso on and he was talking about Nakobe Dean might slip, especially when he's standing next to Devin Lloyd and you just see the body beautiful Devin Lloyd, and Nakobe Dean is a little bit undersized. He's just productive, man. I think to me, Dean is, I would love it. Again, I love all these guys, right? I would be totally, but Devin Lloyd's not going to make it to 17. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not with that size, that length, that ability, the production. I don't see him having a chance to make it to 17. Dean, I could see that happen. And I would absolutely love to see him out there, considering what, you got to deal with running backs and tight ends in this division.
Interesting, because you move up to get Kenneth a couple of years ago into the first round, and you know what you have in Drew Tranquil. Kaiser is going to be the big thing, and I agree with you. You have to kind of prioritize these guys on defense. Justin Jones, Chenna, Kaiser. How do you value those guys moving forward? So linebacker, maybe in the conversation. The last two guys are right tackles, Bunny. Trevor Penning, DJ's number 25 prospect, and Bernard Raymond, number 28. And I think DJ likes this guy, he said, more than most. A right tackle in the first round, I don't think anybody would be opposed to it. Just continuing to solidify this offensive line.
Yeah. So what I heard, just from DJ and from other guys that were at the Senior Bowl is Penning had an incredible Senior Bowl. That he is what your vision is of, a right tackle, a road grader, a play through the whistle, nasty as all get out, take on all comers. And we said it, you don't have to have elite players at every position on the offensive line. You just can't have a hole. So to me, you think about all that. You mentioned Chenna's week 18 tape. Think about Max Crosby's week 18 tape.
It's pretty good.
Now you get a right tackle out there, and especially a rookie right tackle where, let's not forget, Trey McKitty, pretty darn good, toward the end of the season when he started getting comfortable as a full service tight end. So now maybe you got a rookie right tackle that you feel really good about, has first round talent in Raymond or Penning, and you got Trey McKitty out there, next to him, and you feel like, okay, not only do we have good protection, we got elite protection now, and that's going to do a host of things for this team moving forward. If you're asking me to rank, like, we've talked about this before, when you want to think about a team's draft board, they've got in order 1 through whatever. It might be 1 through 70. It might be 1 through 350, like, whatever their number is. And then they have it horizontally by position. Here's your number 1 right tackle, 2 right tackle, 3 right. Here's that. And then what they do is they cross reference, okay, so Raymond's available. Penning's not. Raymond's our number 27 guy. McDuffie is our number 14 guy. What do we do? You know what I mean? Or let's say McDuffie is our number 27 guy. Raymond's our number 28 guy. What do we do? Well, we probably need the corner a little bit more. It's a deep tackle class, kind of thing. So that's how all this will work out. I bring it up because if it were up to me, if these guys are even on the vertical, if they're close to each other on the vertical, the horizontal, I want the corner. I want the corner. I'm fine. I would rather dip into the second round for a right tackle than a corner at this point. I'd rather get one of the bigger guys, with a little bit more physical, with a bigger stature kind of thing, than I would a right tackle that I don't have to worry about for the next 10. Then I say it and I'm like,
I know it's
having 2 tackles that you don't have to worry about for 10 years is pretty darn sweet. But you know what? We got Super Bowl 56 on Sunday. Whitworth's been a shell of himself. Who's their right tackle? Is it Noboom? Average. The Bengals, Prince is, Jonah Williams has not been good. And you got 2 teams in the Super Bowl. So
it's hard to make the case that you need elite offensive line play when the 2 teams in the Super Bowl do not have elite.
Yeah. Meanwhile, look what Mike Hilton's doing as a slot corner for the Bengals. Look at what Jalen Ramsey does. Like, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where you kind of
you
try
remember
to figure it
when
out.
Everybody was banging on the Bengals for drafting Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell.
Over Penei, yeah.
Where would they be? I don't think they'd be in LA this week.
I certainly wasn't.
Yeah, I know you weren't.
Wasn't, but
there was a lot of
but at the same time, like, that's something they have to figure out. Joe Burrow cannot take 51 sacks next year. His career won't last. He'll be David Carr. He'll be Andrew Luck. He'll be out of the league. As tough as he is, those things add up. So, if Justin's taken a ton of hits because it's a leaky right side, even though he's built differently than either of those guys, you still don't want that. That's priority one, right? Priority one is get the quarterback. Priority two is protect the quarterback. Priority three is get the quarterback, get to the quarterback. So, you can do that with great coverage and average pass rush. You can do that with great pass rush and average coverage. So, those are the formulas that Tom Telesco and JoJo and everybody on that staff are going to have to figure out.
Couple quick things for you before we just shift to the Super Bowl and end this thing. In terms of like a luxury pick, right? You see Justin Herbert throwing touchdowns to Mark Andrews in the Pro Bowl, and you're like, be nice to maybe get a tight end. And I know Trapasso talked about the fact that it's fairly deep in mid to late rounds. And then I really do think in the second or the third round, if you can identify a really good running back 2 who may be a running back 1 and allow Austin to just do what he does all over the field, those are 2 things that can make a really good passing offense and really offense overall in general, that much better in 2022.
So here's my thoughts on that. And we just did it on Super Bowl today.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of this? So Steven Anderson's back, Trey McKitty's back. I hope Donald Parham is good and clear and he'll be back. Gronk.
Wow. I'd love it. He'd probably love it.
He said
too.
He wanted to play, he was asked about it on his Super Bowl tour. He's like, look, I'd love to play with Joe Burrow. Okay, I get it. I would too. Who wouldn't want to play with Joe Burrow? But maybe that's because you don't know that there's a potential hole at tight end to play with Justin Herbert. And he talked about how much he loved playing in Tampa instead of New England and the warm weather. And you see, like, if you take the collection of what Herbert put together for Jared Cook, Donald Parham, Steven Anderson, going back to last year with Hunter Henry, you don't want to come out and be part of that. Like, in that way, because of how Joe Lombardi and Brandon Staley use their tight ends, because you do have McKitty, because you do have Anderson, because you do have Parham, you're not going to put a ton of wear and tear on that guy. But when you need it, and when Tom Brady needed it, who was there for it? Gronk was, he's a clutch player. Like, to me,
I like it. Right? I think it's something too where Justin, you find that instant chemistry. You want to play with Joe Burrow, but how about Justin Herbert in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium?
That's what I mean.
And I don't know. I have this dream of a guy like Breece Hall in the backfield who can do all the things that Eckler can do as well, but also he's a bigger back, and it just makes the offense that much scarier, man, especially if you can identify a right tackle. I think there's a lot of possibilities to make the offense even better than what it was. And then obviously it's going to take free agency and a lot of these picks to get the defense to what we expected it to be this past season.
Yeah, look, I think the one thing about the running back is they've tried, right? They drafted Josh Kelly 2 years ago in the 4th round. They drafted Larry Roundtree in the 5th round last year. You can get value in the later rounds at running back. We saw with Elijah Mitchell in San Francisco. We've seen it, with Gibson. We've seen it with Robinson. We've seen that. So I think for the Chargers, it's just a matter of identifying the right guy, and getting the right guy in there. I don't know if you necessarily, need to expend, early day 1 or day 2 draft capital on it. I think it's just your evaluation's got to be right, and I think we saw, there's so much of me wonders about Josh Kelly and just those fumbles early, that he had in his career. It seems like it took him a minute to shake all that off. So I'm hopeful because, we've seen it. We've just seen those moments with Josh. And look, we know Justin Jackson can do it. He just can't stay on the field. For whatever reason, his body has betrayed him his professional career when it never did in college. I never missed a snap. So, I think it's sorting through what you have versus, how much do you want to expend on, how much draft capital are you willing to expend on a running back, and how much do you think that'll impact you versus corner, linebacker, offensive line. Maybe you need a wide receiver, just to add the depth there, with Mike Williams' future a little bit uncertain if it is, if they can't figure out a long-term deal in each franchise. So Look, man, it's a tough puzzle to put together. There's no doubt about it. And that's why those guys make all the money they make, and we make what we make.
Yep, that's right. Joshua Kelly too. I mean, coincidentally, week 1 against the Bengals, you saw that confidence. I think he may have scored the only touchdown of the game.
He did
for the Chargers in week 1.
He did.
And then you mentioned those fumbles.
It was the fumbles against Kansas City.
Yeah, I still believe
he just wasn't the same
Kelly
guy
too.
after that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the team looks at running back 2, and if they said, hey, it just took too long to find out who running back 2 was last year, that we need to bring somebody else in, or if they're good with going with Kelly and Justin Jackson again. So
yeah.
Money, let's take a quick break, get your Super Bowl predictions, and we'll get out of here. All right, guys, another reminder that you can bolt up your experience right before the big game with $10 off your first 3 months of YouTube TV. You get access to 85 plus live TV channels, unlimited DVR space, and game day features like Key Plays. Just be sure to record the game, then use the Key Plays view right in the YouTube TV app. Catch up on all the highlights you may have missed. Plus, you can cancel at any time, no hidden fees. That's a touchdown. YouTube TV. Try it free and then save $10 a month for your first 3 months. Terms apply. Cancel anytime. All right, man. Super Bowl 56, Sunday, Rams, Bengals. Who you got?
So I think it's going to be a great game. I really do. I can't quite figure out which team I think is going to win. There's so many interesting subplots and situations that I think bear putting credence and weight into, right? Matthew Stafford's been the best fourth quarter quarterback in football in the regular season and in the playoffs. Joe Burrow's been the best third and fourth down quarterback in the regular season and in the playoffs. That's what you want, right? Hey, it's a tight game. Is my guy Nails under pressure? Yes, Matthew Stafford is. Third and fourth down or the money downs, you convert those and you keep the other offense off the field. Is Mike good at that? Yes, he is. You think about the receiving cores and Cooper Kupp putting together the most prolific pass catching season in the history of the NFL. On the other side, Jamar Chase putting together the most prolific rookie campaign in the history of the NFL. And then there's supporting casts. How good? And I don't think Higbee's going to play, but you got Odell Beckham Jr. as your number 2, and we know what Boyd and what Higgins are capable of doing. So both teams have a full complement of receivers, both backs. Cam Akers really started to get it going in that game. I know the numbers aren't there, but you could just kind of see him starting to shake off that rust, and he's a good back. Joe Mixon's exceptional. So I think I keep, and then I go to the defenses, right? And you've got a Bengals team that held the Chiefs to 3 points in the second half, that held Derrick Henry to 3 yards per carry, that held the Raiders offense to 17 points. So their defense is good. They're really good. And Matthew Stafford has eaten up the blitz all season long. The Bengals don't blitz. Not only do they not blitz, they get home with 4. They got home with 3 against Patrick Mahomes in that AFC Championship game. And obviously, I don't need to say anything about the Rams defense. It's a freaking nightmare, especially up front with those 4 guys. So that leads me to believe that it's going to be a close game, which is why it's going to be a blowout and it's going to be terrible. And one of these teams is going to be up 27-3 before you blink. I go back to which team do you think is more talented, or which team do you think has the better matchups? And I just feel like the Rams have better matchups. I feel like that offensive line versus the Rams defensive line is a mess. Those matchups, it's advantage Leonard Floyd, advantage Aaron Donald, advantage Von Miller. That to me is it's such a mountain to overcome. And we saw what Harold Landry and Justin Simmons did to them, 9 sacks. And now you're talking about Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald. So, to me, that's the other side of that, though. Now, see, I'm talking on my other side of it. It didn't matter. Joe Burrow didn't care. It's the only quarterback I've ever seen that did not care. Yeah. So
when you have one guy that you can say, well, despite all that, we got Joe Burrow.
Yeah. I guess, everybody wants to know what I'm doing, and they want this pick, so I've got to give it to them.
You got to, man.
I'll say, oh man, I'll say Bengals 28, Rams 24. No.
Wow.
Let me change that. Well, Let me go 12, 14. So I'm going to go Bengals 26. Why? 4 field goals for Evan McPherson, each of them over 50 yards, including a game winner with zeros. That's 61, and he's the MVP. How about that? A kicker will be the MVP of the Super Bowl with 4 field goals, including a game winner from 61 yards at SoFi Stadium, where we know it's easy to boot incredibly long field goals.
Evan Money McPherson going to be smoking a cigar in the locker room, taking Joe Burrow's MVP and the Bengals.
Imagine that.
Champs.
Like, imagine if it's a defensive battle, and let's maybe take it that, like for that to happen, let's just have a little fun here. Imagine it's like a 12-7 game, and all 12 of their points came off kicks, and all 4 of those kicks were 50 plus. I mean, you would give it to the kicker, right?
You have to.
Right.
And he's so good. Like, I mean, I don't know if bias creeps in, but like what he did to get them to the Super Bowl. I mean, apparently in the Tennessee game, he goes up to Burrow and says, "Looks like we're going to the AFC Championship before the kick."
And that was outdoors, 15 degrees. What was that thing? 49 yards, 51 yards or something? That was not a chip shot. That was a boot that he had to kick them into the AFC Championship.
Stafford, that stat you had, I think he's 16 touchdowns, 0 interceptions when he's blitzed. And like you said, Bengals don't blitz much, right? So that's an interesting thing to kind of keep in the back of your head. I love some of these storylines though, man. You got Sean McVay, Super Bowl experience 2.0. He had to go up against Belichick the first time. What did he learn? How is he approaching it differently? And he's got one of his pupils on the other side.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people thought Zach Taylor would be in the Super Bowl in 3 seasons in Cincinnati, yet here we are. I also love the fact that Whitworth is a longtime Bengal and spent some time rehabbing with Joe Burrow, rehabbing their knees this offseason. LSU guys. Those are kind of the fun stories that kind of supplement the action on the field. But listen, I look at the Rams and their defense. They have if you said who are the 2 best defensive players in football, I'd probably say Aaron Donald and then Jalen Ramsey.
Ramsey, yeah.
And then you have Leonard Floyd and Von Miller. I feel like those acquisitions that they made in the middle of the year, you're starting to see the fruits of that. It's peaking at the right time. I think it's going to be very difficult for the Bengals to beat the Rams if the Rams play to their full potential. That said, we saw the unexpected in the second half of that game,
right?
In Arrowhead. It was a tale of 2 halves, and it was that right before the half, I said this feels significant that the Chiefs didn't get that touchdown before the half. Bengals defense took advantage of it.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be. The Rams have a pretty good kicker too in Matt Gay, so.
They do. He's not McPherson, though.
He's not Money McPherson.
And he's missed 2 bad ones. He missed a bad one against Tampa, and he missed a bad one against the 49ers as well. McPherson hasn't missed a kick in the postseason. Like it's –
Plus, we got Jamar Chase versus Jalen Ramsey. We got Chase Ramsey. All right. Give me an underdog story. Give me Bengals 23, Rams 20.
All right, there we go. We're in concert. We both got the Bengals. Who would have guessed?
Both got the Bengals. And the Chargers, they did beat the Bengals in the regular season. And
they did, 44-21, right? 41-24.
Was up 24-0. I think
it was 41-24. There we go.
Yeah, 41-24 then.
I think that's it, because I think they tied it up at 24, right? They did not ever take the lead.
It was 40. No, you know what, Money? It was 41-22 because I think it was 24-22 at one point. And that's
right.
when Mixon
that's right. And they didn't get the 2-point conversion.
They didn't get the 2-point conversion, and then Mixon fumbled.
Exactly. Yes. And I was like, oh, I remember saying that. It was 25. I'm like, you know what? I like that they weren't able to tie it up. They weren't able to get all the way back. Now the Chargers can go down, get a score, extend that lead to 31, and you feel good about it. And that's exactly what they did. That's right, 41-22.
Yeah. I want a good game. I think we'll get a good game.
So do I.
And we'll be here next week to break it down, as well as the
Absolutely.
draft and free agency. And what else you got this week, man? You got Super Bowl today all week?
Super Bowl today, the Bolt City on Friday, 3 to 6 with Petros. We'll be out there doing the Charger thing on Friday at 3rd Street Promenade. And then I don't know. I'm still trying to. I don't know what I'm doing for Sunday. I got to figure it out. I don't know if I'm going to go to the game or if I'm going to, be at my friend Daryl's house drinking beers. I can't decide yet.
Daryl sounds like a blast. I don't know.
I know. It's like, must be nice having the option. It's like, yes, I do. But remember, I'm working if I go to the Super Bowl. It's like, I'm not there, with buddies having a good time and getting all sauce. No, I'm going and I'm working. They'll probably ask me to come back here after the game and, hey, can you do some of this? And can you do a hit here? And let's do this for digital. So I've got to figure out if I'm going to sign up for that or if I'm just going to sit at home.
You deserve to go to Daryl's.
I do. I agree. I completely agree. But something tells me that's not the way it's going to play out. And it's going to be, hey, we got you a ticket, but you got to come here after, and I want you to do this hit there and this YouTube channel. And it's like, so much for the Super Bowl party.
First thing we address next Thursday, what did money do?
Yeah.
Super Bowl Sunday.
Exactly. I hope it's consumed too much beer and have my wife get very upset at me. That's what I hope the answer is.
All right, that's going to do it for us.
And I'll watch it on YouTube TV, darn it.
Yeah, subscribe to YouTube TV. Listen to those promos. They're the real deal. For Matt Money Smith, I'm Chris Hayre.